Welcome, Pastor Sewell and Ramon and additional witnesses. Thank you for returning back here to the committee. And please come forward and begin when you are ready.
With you today, we believe that you will see your grandchildren and your children say you are great American patriots for this moment. This is a moment in which I have to do exactly what the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches that the Spirit of the Lord is upon me and he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. And I've come here to articulate the longings and the aspirations of my community, the poor. I come here representing the largest voting bloc in the state of Michigan, the greatest single shareholders in our state. I've come to say that we're suffering today. Suffering with poverty, crime, foreclosures because of illegal municipal bonds, commercial buildings and churches being taken because of illegal water drainage fees. I've come here today crying out for the poor. Not only Detroit, but 16 majority black cities that suffer the greatest ills. 1,000 majority black cities in America, representing 52 congressional districts that all share one thing in common. They are the worst of the worst communities to live in. Now, why is that? Why is it that when you see black people gathered together, that you see some of the greatest ills in our nation? As a pastor, I have to understand that. And with the system of the greatest political mind that has ever crossed the bridge of time, Ramon Jackson, with his proprietary system, he's helped me. He's helped our church. Now he can help Michigan and help our nation be able to uncover why. What is the causal root of why black people are suffering the way they are? The causal root is a political murderer. We found a political murderer in the streets. This political murderer is a serial killer. And we see all the dead bodies of poverty, crime, foreclosure, illiteracy, an epidemic of commercial buildings and churches being taken because of water drainage fees, illegal municipal bonds. We see that these are nothing but dead bodies. That this one serial killer, this one political murderer is the one who we can all handcuff today with your help. Now you would ask me, who is that political murderer? His name is election fraud. He uses the weapon of people who were not elected by us, but selected. He uses this weapon of people that we never voted in, but they were cheated in. He uses this weapon to cause this continuum of crises in our communities. People that don't represent us because they were never voted in by us. They mismanage our resources, they misappropriate our funds, and they do it because they were never elected by us. And we're asking you today, would you help stop our suffering? We're asking you today, would you please help stop all of our pain? We're asking you today, would you help your largest shareholders, your single largest voting bloc, help handcuff this criminal and throw away the key? That's why we're here today. We're asking for your help. Thank you so much.
My name is Ramon Jackson. I'm an advocate in the city of Detroit, but I advocate throughout Black America. As the brother just put it, we have a crisis going on throughout our communities. Our resources is being fleeced. Our communities is suffering from abstract poverty, high violence, high crime. What is the root cause of this? Those are symptoms. The virus is that our resources is stolen because our elections are cheated. It's not a myth. Last time we was here, Rep. Wooding and another rep here went to the news and called us circus clowns. Me, the pastor, and the chairman right here who brought us forward to try to address this matter. So now I present to you, you should have facts today to debunk everything that we gave to you to back up what you said, because that was assassination of our character. You basically called us clowns. So you should be able to articulate, just as we articulating what happened to us, you should be able to articulate to us what happened with my situation, how I was registered to vote when I moved away. You should be able to articulate how Melissa Love became registered to vote, how John Fitzgerald Kennedy moved away and became registered to vote and was voting in another city while he was gone. Steely Smith, you should be able to articulate that to us today when you called us a clown. Or what make you different from the females that, from Giuliani, who accused the females of cheating and they taxed them? What makes you different than Fox, who accused Dominion and they taxed them? You defamed us. So you should be able to articulate and back that up. If you got proof that we came here and we lied, you should be able to address that today. So this is why we here. We here because they're cheating in elections in Detroit. They are using voters who don't vote, who have a low propensity to vote, or who never have voted before in their life. They're preying on us once we move out of Detroit. When I sued them, because I took my complaint and articulated it and put it before a court. That's what you do when you really backing up what you say. You can articulate that and you move with an action behind it. So I move with an action behind what I'm saying, which is what I asked you to do, move with an action. So I move with an action behind what I'm saying, and I filed a lawsuit to get to the bottom of how we becoming registered to vote after we moved away. I didn't make this up. The Secretary of State responded and said that we are becoming registered to vote through what they call driver's license imports or driver's license transactions. The only way that I can have a transaction and these individuals can have a transaction surrounding our driver's license, we would have to go to the Secretary of State. I have a copy of my Ohio history of driver's license where I show the time that they say I registered to vote in Michigan. I had driver's license in another state. So lawfully, I was prohibited from voting and being registered to vote in the state of Michigan. And this we're not talking about being left on the voter rolls. We are talking about being unlawfully placed on the voter rolls after we left. So today, we come forward to bring some of the individuals, and we don't want to continue to do a charade. We keep presenting evidence of the fraud, and everybody just staring at us like we got two heads, like we Martians. So we want an action behind what we coming forward with today. The individuals who's coming forward saying they didn't vote, nobody came, they can easily go get the cameras at the election place. She gonna testify today, some of the people that they said she voted in August. They will have the cameras footage to show if she walked in a poll in August. It's been 16 months in court, no evidence. They haven't come with no document, not one exhibit from the Secretary of State or Janice Winfrey. Not one legal exhibit, because see, this in the legal process. So everything they can come with, they came with it. And you know what it was? Nothing. They came with nothing. They didn't even defend this case. They said, we became registered to vote. I said, we can't become registered to vote. We have to register to vote. And guess what? They ain't say nothing. We didn't do it, and they didn't respond. People said that they didn't vote in the elections. They didn't come back and prove that they voted in elections. They left it alone. They didn't provide no evidence saying, look, this is where you came into the Secretary of State. This is the branch you came into the Secretary of State. This is what time you came into the Secretary of State. These are all the things that would happen if this was a lawful process that take place. It would be easy to debunk. You'll say, Mr. Jackson, this is where you came into the Secretary of State. This is what branch. This is where Kennedy came into the Secretary of State. This is what branches. This is what time. None of that was presented to the courts. You know why? Because it don't exist. We never ever went into these Secretary of States. We never registered to vote. I have never in my life put an absentee ballot application in my name. I have never filled out one. If you go to the envelope, I have had it checked. It have nothing in it. The envelope with the ledger absentee ballot, it have nothing in that envelope. If you bring a copy, not a copy, the original of all our absentee ballots, they would not be able to produce them with our signature. Let me say this, and I'm before the witnesses. Our signature is on file. So telling us that you got a signature and a signature trumping, license, moving, and everything is ludicrous and absurd. So I want to, if they got something to say, I want to call the John F. Kennedy if he on. He's supposed to be the first person on there. So.
Thank you. I would just like to say thank you both for coming back. It's been several weeks, and I think it's very important for this committee and the public to hear testimony firsthand of their personal experiences and what did happen, so there can just be truth about what's going on and not just accusations of, oh, this isn't really happening. I mean, people are here today to address this and to make their voice be heard and say that either they have never voted before or voted multiple times, whatever it may be. So I just felt it was very important to, after hearing you guys weeks ago, making sure that we have these witnesses come forth and share from their own experience. So thank you for doing that and bringing them and the witnesses. I do believe we have one calling in right now. If you want to
The individual calling in is John Fitzgerald Kennedy. John Fitzgerald Kennedy lived in Detroit for 48 years, and he have never been registered to vote, let alone voted. He moved to Roseville, Michigan between 2019. When he moved, he changed his license to Roseville, Michigan. After he changed his license to Roseville, he became registered for the first time in his life back to his old address on Edmore Street in Detroit. They put John Fitzgerald Kennedy on a permanent absentee list, and they have used him in 3 different elections voting absentee. He don't even know what an absentee ballot application is or a ballot is, nor do he know where our election department is. This is a friend of mine that I've been knowing for years. He don't know nothing about voting. When I seen him on the voter list, on that list for voting, I immediately knew something was wrong because I know him and I know he don't vote, and I know that he moved out of Detroit. There's no way that he would move from Detroit, live there 50 years, never registered to vote, never vote out in Detroit, move to Detroit and decide he want to register back to his old address and start voting. He didn't have to do this because he's not voting in a local position. They said he voted for in the November 2020 election, which is the presidential election. He can vote in that election in Roseville. He can vote anywhere in that election. You don't have to register to a city he don't live in and vote. And that's the same with the August 2022 gubernatorial primary election, and they used him again in the November general election for the gubernatorial. So he's on the phone and he's going to state that he never voted and he don't know anything about that.
please begin when you are ready. Mr. Kennedy?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, wonderful. We can hear you, so just please begin when you are ready.
Oh, I just wanted to say that I never voted. Don't know anything about it until it was brought to my attention. And that's pretty much it. I don't know why they did it or, you know, what's going on with it, but I never registered to do anything or gave anybody the authorization to use it.
Thank you for sharing that. Mr. Kennedy, have you made this known to the Secretary of State's office?
Say that again.
Did you notify the Secretary of State's office once you found out this had happened to you?
No, I actually didn't. It came to me on the whim, and you know, I work a lot. Just like right now, I'm at work. But I just wanted to step away for a moment and take care of this. But I work a lot, so no, I never really went down there.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? Mr. Wooden.
Thank you, Chair. So your affidavit was in the original suit that the Detroit City Clerk did respond to. They do note that you were registered to vote via driver's license import. So, just first and foremost, were you applying for a driver's license then in October of 2020?
You say that again?
Were you applying for a driver's license at all in 2020? Were you getting it updated? Were you were you working to get a driver's license renewed or get a new one at any time in 2020?
I actually can't recall if I was or not, because I can't remember. I usually stay pretty much updated on my license, so I can't recall if I did or didn't.
I appreciate the honesty, and I certainly forget from time to time when I stop by a branch office, because even when the lines have gotten shorter, it's not necessarily something I enjoy doing. But for that note, I would just say, in the suit, they call the fact that they have on file that you appeared in person with ID, signature was verified. And when these are previous records that have been obtained before the filing of the affidavit, why should an affidavit from you supersede that when they also have record going back 5 years of you appearing with ID and signature verification on the absentee voter application?
Yeah, I don't understand how that would even be possible. But I guess if it's produced, we shall see. But I don't see how that's possible at all.
Thank you.
We've got one more question. Do you have time to stay on the line, Mr. Kennedy? I know you're at work.
How much longer?
We've got one more question, Representative Zong.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Kennedy, you made some really concerning allegations. I'm just wondering why you're here today testifying as opposed to going to the authorities.
Can you say that one more time, please?
You've made some really concerning allegations today in testimony, and my question to you is, when you found this out, why did you not go to the authorities?
Oh, because I've been so busy, and plus I'm not really familiar with the politics. I mean, the people who used it know when they used it and why they used it, and I had I don't know anything about it.
Thank you. If this is a serious allegation that you're making, and it's really concerning to me, I can't help but question your credibility if you didn't go to the authorities to report this.
Representative Zong, we're going to move on. Thank you.
I can understand that.
This is Chair Smith. Mr. Kennedy, I have one final question, if you don't mind. I would just like to confirm, have you ever voted in a Michigan election?
No, never.
Thank you. And how many times has it showed up that you have voted? I believe Mr. Ramon had stated it, but how many times has it showed up?
First time ever.
Thank you.
That I'm aware of.
Thank you so much for your testimony, Mr. Kennedy. Appreciate your time.
Could I say one thing?
Sure.
It's easy to find out. You asked him the question. You can find out through the Secretary of State when he applied for a license, and rather 10/9/2020 he applied for a license. We ain't got to do this charade. You can find that out. That information is readily available. Ask the Secretary of State. Did he go 10/9/2020? It was over 100,000 people allegedly registered to vote on that day, and so it's one of them. So that's easy for you to find out from the Secretary of State.
Thank you. And Mr. Ramon, excuse me, would you like to bring the next witness forward, please?
Melissa Love.
Thank you, Melissa. Please come forward when you are ready.
Melissa Love is the same way. She had never voted in her life. That she showed up just like Kennedy in 2020 in that election. And if you look at her record, you will see that that's the first time a vote was ever cast in anybody's name. And they also used her again in the August 2024 election. So she'll tell you.
Cheated votes is real. cheated votes is real. I am the evidence. My name is Melissa Love. I never voted November 2020 or August 2024.
Thank you.
She voted for the first time in the November 2024 election, and she voted for Trump. And that was because when we found her and found what they did to her, she became an advocate for herself against that. So the first time she ever voted was November 2024, and that was for Donald Trump. And let me tell you another thing. August 2024 is relatively recently. So she's been going back 3 months saying this to our elected officials. At every city council meeting, at our clerk's office, it's easy to go back and pull the cameras and see if she walked into the election at any precinct. That's, if she did that, they would have been came with that.
We've got a question from Representative Wooden.
Just a general question. Many of the examples I've cited were in the Detroit City Clerk response to your initial complaint. As far as I could tell, the Melissa Love affidavit was not included in that original complaint. But it, as I understand it, was included in the appeal that you currently have filed. What's the status of that appeal, and has the Detroit City Clerk or the City of Detroit responded to that appeal with these new affidavits that have been included?
As I said, there's been no response. They haven't responded with an exhibit. They responded with a no-name report without one seal on it. It's been no response from the City of Detroit or the Secretary of State.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa, for being here and hearing your testimony.
Thank you, Chair.
Will the next witness please come forward?
This Fudell Gibson, he's also a resident of Detroit. One of the issues that we found them doing, they did it to me and multiple people, is that we never voted absentee in our life. We showed up with absentee ballots when we went into the election, and we don't know nothing about application, don't know nothing about anything. He's one of them. They switched his vote.
Mr. Gibson, welcome, and please begin your testimony when you're ready.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for giving us this time, and thank you for taking out the time to hear this very important issue. Again, as Ramon stated, it came to my attention that they used me for absentee ballots. So let's go through that. In order for me to be used for absentee ballot, I would have had to fill out something. I am not handicapped. I am not a senior. In the city of Detroit, they make it very easy for you to vote. My voting place is 6-7 blocks up the street. I could walk, I could drive. What I'm telling you is the few times that I have voted, I went in person. That's to get the experience, to interact with people, talk to people. I never, ever filled out anything for absentee ballot. Now, let me say this to the young lady right there. No matter what we do, who we talk to, absolutely nothing getting done. So when you say, if it's so important, why we go to the authority, we have went to the authority. We done sued people, we done talked to the city council, we done talked to the clerk, we done talked to the Secretary of State, and now we talking to you guys. So to sit here and say, why when he ain't talking, go talk to the authorities. 2, a little bit off board, but same position. Off our word. It seems to us that our word don't mean nothing in America. Now, just this year, a man said Fidel pulled a gun out on him. 3 weeks later, they came and kicked in my door and raided my house. Found absolutely no gun. I still had to go to court, and if I got found convicted, I wouldn't be sitting here this day. Off his word. Now, my word doesn't mean anything because I'm telling you I haven't voted.
Come on, folks.
Now, for some odd reason, when I commit a crime, which I haven't, the forensics come out the sky, the satellite. FBI say, hey, man, we got your hair samples. We got all the evidence. We got your shoe print. But now, all of a sudden, we at death. They stand mute. Mm-hmm. So I'm inclined to believe that you guys are in on it. Because all we asking for is a better life for us and for you. They cheating y'all people in, too. There's never been a black Wayne County sheriff since I've been, I'm 52 years old, and we got a whole bunch of white communities in Wayne County. So it ain't just affecting us, it's affecting y'all too. Ain't y'all tired of seeing a black Wayne County sheriff that does absolutely nothing?
Black clerk.
Come on, we asking for fairness. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Now I'm gonna say this again. If I'm lying, lock me up. Ain't nobody came and asked me, what's my problem? Hey man, put a wire on and we gonna watch the next election. Let's see if these people so arrogant, so greedy, and so corrupt, it'll blow your mind away. They keeping good candidates off the voters list. We getting, listen, plain and simple, I did not vote. You guys need to do your job. We are here. Put the pressure on our city councils and our clerk. Them some no good, y'all know what, shut your mouth. Thank you. Thank you for each and every one of y'all for taking the time. This is a serious matter, and it affects you, your grandkids, and they kids coming along, because they cheating, not just black people, they cheating you guys too. Thank y'all.
Mr. Gibson, I've got one quick follow-up question.
Yes, ma'am.
So it has been brought to your attention that you voted absentee. Did you ask the clerk, are you on the permanent absentee voter list?
So, no, I'm not on. Well, here's the thing with this is, again, you go down and ask them, they stand mute. We've been down there several times. So, again, if you put the pressure on them, you'll see the fraud. All I could do is ask. If I go to work and then it come time for me to get a paycheck, and I never got my paycheck, and then the company said, we did give you your paycheck. Then I sue them. How can I prove that I didn't get my paycheck if I didn't cash it? That's the only thing. I don't know what more to do. I'm telling you, I did not vote. If I'm going to vote, I'm going to go in person to vote. I'm not going to say, that's for my seniors, that's for my grandmama, handicapped, et cetera, under stream condition. For everybody, you see what we got here?
But it did show that you voted absentee.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you.
And I was also, if this helped you out, I was also on the committee with the guy that's on city council now. His name is Coleman A. Young. So a group of us that day of went to the election board and we all voted in person. When I checked the voters list, I voted absentee that year. So again, I can't commit to fraud. I need you guys here to help her. Last but not least, if y'all want to keep this hush-hush, then just take care of us. Just take care of us. We've been you. Don't nobody else want to step up? Get us out the way. Get us out the way then. Hey, thank you guys if there's no more questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sister Teresa. This is Sister Teresa Williams. She's a lifelong resident of Detroit. Again, she don't vote absentee, never voted absentee, showed up voting in the absentee.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting us and allowing us to come and speak today. Plain and simple, I've been voting my entire life. So I went down to check my voting record, and to my surprise, they have me voting absentee in the last local election, the primary. I'm adamant against absentee voting. I've never done it in my life. When I get absentee ballots in the mail, they always send them faithfully every year. I get 3 of them, one for me, one for my husband, and one for my son. I rip them up and throw them in the garbage. So it was very surprising and shocking to see that I had voted. They had me voting absentee. And so when I asked the gentleman there, I said, you have me voting absentee here. Why is that? He's like, I don't know. Just very nonchalant about it. So, yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
Thank you. And you said you've always voted in person
100%.
for as long as you've been voting.
That's just a theme in my family. Mm-hmm. Outside of my parents, we don't vote absentee.
Yep. Representative Wooden.
Thank you, Chair. So one of the things that happened in 2022 was we finally explicitly allowed early in-person voting. Before that, though, multiple cities had, because nobody's an absentee voted, no reason absentee voting was made legal after the 2018 proposal, several cities had essentially showing up in person at City Hall and voting absentee without a reason. Could it possibly be that you voted in person through that method, but because early in-person voting had yet been explicitly authorized the way it's currently functions, could that have been the way that you voted? That you voted in person with an
Absolutely.
absentee ballot?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I want to say something. The only way you can vote absentee is that you have to fill out an absentee ballot application. So people know whether or not they filled out an absentee ballot application. What kind of questions are that? Is that for real? People know if they filled out their application, you got to put your last four of your social security number, you got to put your driver's license number and all this information on there. You don't think people know that? We understand the law. We know what the law states. We know about when they passed the law that they sent out massive absentee applications to people. We know all about that. Well, we hear about how the law is being violated with people voting absentee. Let me tell you what they do. You got proposals that be on there that people don't want. So when you switch a person, in-person vote to an absentee, that enable you to take their whole vote and steal it from them. So it's just as serious as stealing the vote as casting a vote for somebody.
But very quickly here, the fact of the matter is everyone's ballot is secret. You run it through the tabulator yourself, so there's no way of it knowing that that person is voting against your wishes. So if there's this idea that if someone has an intention, please let me finish, sir. If someone has an intention of voting a certain way in person, they're not going to see that through the tabulators. There's no way of taking that vote out of the tabulator and just saying they voted absentee and here's how they voted.
If a person voted in person and they got an absentee application and a ballot, somebody fraudulently voted for them. And whether we know what's on that ballot or not, it's still fraudulent because we didn't do it. I don't understand.
Well, what I would also...
I would like to
I don't understand.
I would like to note here as a former clerk, in the QVF, it tells you if they are voting in person, early voting, or by absentee ballot. And even if now with all the new laws that have changed with the whole universal absentee application, they still have to fill that out one time.
For real.
Miss Teresa here has stated she has not ever done that. So if we're going to believe her and take her at her word, then that's what we must do.
Were you turned away from the polls in 2021 when you tried to vote in person?
No.
So had you been turned away from the polls, as Chair Smith just said, had someone voted absentee on your behalf previously that would have been flagged in the QVF, you would not have been handed a ballot.
Yes, she could have if she said, I want to vote in person. They would spoil that and they would issue an in-person ballot.
Okay.
That's how that happens. Next witness, if we would like to bring forward, please.
Charles Miles. Charles Miles is a resident of Detroit. The Miles family been owning a home, a particular resident property since the 1960s. When you can look up this property, you got a voter there named Lillian Jabaway that Miles reached out to me because they was renovating the house, and he said, I keep getting this letter from the voter registration place and this lady name that we don't know. And so we go down to the Secretary of State. He asks, who is this person? Check, see this person has been registered to vote and voted at their house within the last year. None of his family know these people. The house has never ever went in the hands of no other people or not. So that's why he's here.
Hello.
Mr. Miles, please give your testimony when you're ready.
Okay, well. Right, so pretty much what he said, can you hear me now? Okay. So I'm here today because, like he said, my family's been owning this house at 20161 Myers since 1964. So you have a lady here, Lillian Jabaway. She's been voting from this house, and it's on the website, that the city of Detroit's website, stating that they confirmed that she's a valid voter at this house. And like, I'm 50 plus years old, I've never seen her. I don't know what she looks like. My mother, she said she believed that this family might have owned the house before she bought the house. Maybe, you know, the Jabways or something. She kind of like, but we've never seen these people since we've been alive. And my sister owns the house, and there's no Jabway, you know, like no electric bill, water bill, tax bill. This house never been a rental property. So I don't understand how she could be a valid voter at that address. No ID, you know what I mean? Like, where would she get her ID from? Since 1964 to current. So, I mean, it should be an easy way to figure that out. You know, you should be able to say, hey, y'all, she took a picture and it was sent to our address. When? Since when? I mean, we talking, what's that, almost 60 years?
Yeah, about 60 years.
I mean,
There are some serious concerns here with our voting rolls, and this is a reason why it would be very imperative that we can have access to those and have some oversight and verify some of these testimonies that we are hearing from, especially because you guys have tried to go to your local authorities and the local clerk's office, and they are not willing to cooperate and work with you and get things fixed and cleaned up. That's a problem.
yeah, one more thing.
Sure.
Me and Miss Jackson, we went down there. That was my first time going to the election department on the boulevard. And I had the mail,
Yes, sir.
showed it to her, the lady. I said, well, this lady don't live here. And she's getting a lot of mail, and she's currently still getting mail there for voting. That's the only time that her
Election mail, correct?
Election mail,
Yes,
yeah.
okay.
Currently, right now, you know, like, I got some recent, since last year when we did this. Was that last year or the year before?
Last year.
Okay. So we went down there. We should be on camera down there, you know, going in, because we talked about it. They called themselves investigating it. And they wanted us to prove that she didn't live there. Like, I was like,
How we gonna do that?
yeah. Like, I don't even know what she looked like, right? I've been thinking she was gonna appear here somewhere today. That's why I've been coming. I really seriously want to see who is she, because I don't believe she's alive.
Or exist.
If you look up the years and her date of birth or whatever, if you know, far as what we hear about this, it's in the 1900s
She
somewhere.
got registered to vote in 1950. And
So-
I found no Jabaway,
Right.
nobody that in no system by the name of Lillian Jabaway, period. We searched her through people search and databases and everything. I found nothing with her linking back to the city of Detroit. Just like I said, if she owned that house prior to they say she was registered to vote at their house in 1950. That's where the city of Detroit say they purchased the house in 64, so she had to at least be born to 18 in 1950. So
It's
we
been the
talking about
Miles
1930s.
residence. It's definitely been the Miles residence since the 60s and never changed to no other last name. So you can verify that like that. You should be able to, you know, this is the state of Michigan, right? So, I mean, come on now. I mean, and they said in 2012 that she's been verified to have voted there. That's what their documents is saying. So, I mean, what's going on? I mean,
Yeah.
I know I would be in jail. We would be in
for
jail
sure.
on the news, everything. That's the crazy part about this whole situation.
Mr. Miles, did the local clerk give you any information on how many years that she had been voting there? You mentioned 2012, so they say basically from 2012, or how many times has she voted?
Well, she didn't give us any information, but on the website, if you go on Detroit Election Department, it's on their website. That's how I found out. It says their findings was entered in a QVF at this address on 1/12/2003 with a registration date of September 14th, 1950. And it says voted, so evidently she voted on November 6, 2012, and has not voted since. And then it says status challenged on cancellation countdown as of 8/12/22. But I'm saying she couldn't have possibly voted in 2012 at this address, or even 2003. I mean, we talking in 60s.
Correct.
I mean, you can verify the address, the owner of that property. It's the Miles. I'm the Miles. I don't know a Jabboy. I never seen her. She never, she's a ghost. I mean, she get mail for voting. You know, we got to, you know, most people, I think this is where the problem came up, because most people that since I've been thinking about this and talking about it, most people throw away mail when they get some mail that they don't know who it is or whatever. Most of the time they throw it away or give it back to the post office, you know, the carrier, like they don't live here or whatever, return to center. But most people throw it away. I mean, so for years, she could have been getting this mail, but only on voting time. She don't get no other type of mail, nothing important, you know, like license. We never seen nobody, her driving license came there or nothing like that. Or nobody remembers her but during voting time, you know what I'm saying? Like,
That's because she's in the QVF. Yep.
But the election department, remember,
right, no water bill, you know, no bills, no junk mail from her. Only junk mail is the voting mail, you know what I mean?
We've got a question from Representative Wooden.
First, if I recall correctly, the 2003 date is likely because that was when county voting rolls were then being transferred to the statewide qualified voter file. So that even though that was the date she was entered, it wasn't the date that she was registered at that address from the Wayne County one. I'm not conceding the fact that, you know, property changed hands since then. That's at least a likely reason why the 2003 date is there. As you noted, and I did verify it too with the property records, this property is in Karen Miles' name. That's your sister, you said. Is this your primary residence?
No.
Was it your primary residence in 2012?
No, it was my primary, but it's my sister. I live right around the corner. My sister.
So yeah. The reason I ask is, you know, sometimes folks have other folks live with them, right? And is there any possible way that this woman could have lived with her at that time?
My sister has a son and a grandson. It's a 2-bedroom house. Yeah. It's a duplex. So
also,
it's no room for you can't miss another person.
No, I appreciate it.
You know what I'm saying? Like a little duplex. It's like a 2-bedroom apartment, basically.
I appreciate it.
So,
last but not least, so our federal law has certain limitations on when people can be systemically removed from voting rolls, and that challenge on and cancellation countdown being flagged, that's initiating that process. But are you aware that there are limitations that just someone like yourself saying, I have personal connection to this home and I can verify that they don't live here is not sufficient under both federal law and state protections to avoid someone from acting improperly from removing them? That's why they have certain things like written confirmation, and if you don't confirm within a certain amount of time, that's why the challenge countdown has started with this individual.
Well, I can say one thing, that I've been cutting the grass at that house for over 40 years. Every week or two, you know, every other week for over 40 years. So it seemed like I wouldn't know if some lady would name Jabaway. It sounded like a foreign person. You know, it sounded like a different.
for sure.
Miles and Jabaway is totally different. It seemed like she don't look like us. So I don't know what she looked like, but I know what I would have seen her or met her or some kind of way. I was born over at that house, so.
Mm-hmm. And that is incorrect because the local clerk can remove voters from the QVF.
Especially if they don't exist. And
Correct.
the people that live there telling them that this person don't exist. See, you keep mixing the law and what we not disputing the statutes and the law and the process of removal. We talking about fraud, people being placed on these lists, or people registered at people's homes that don't live there. That's so.
Thank you. If I may, I have to just take the liberty to do this because I can share a very similar story with you, Mr. Miles. When I was a clerk at Martin Township, there was a family member who at one point was registered at my in-laws' home. And that family member had died nearly 20 years prior. They were put on the rolls at 2020. They were mailed when our Secretary of State illegally mailed voter application ballots without the authorization to do that. That's the local clerk's job to do that. And my in-laws said, why would this person be getting this application to vote? And I said, I don't know. She's been dead for so long. So I went in there, removed her from the voting rolls, because I know firsthand this family member is dead and deceased, and said, why are you removing them or challenging this voter? Because they're deceased. That's the tab that it says in QVF. I must say that just this past election cycle, under a different clerk, lo and behold, that person was put back on the voter rolls and has a card of the early voting location polling that I actually have and can produce. And that's a problem. So I can totally relate to you. I understand what you're saying. Thank you for coming forward and giving these examples, because it is happening all over the state.
Yes, right. Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Please refrain from the applause, but
The last person is Miss Warwick, Joanne Warwick. She's the last one. We got time. She's going to attest that she have owned the house. It's been abandoned for years, and she have voters registered there. She don't know who they is. Some of them became registered there actually after she got the house and after they was deceased. So.
thank you. Is it Miss Warren?
Warwick, W-A-R-W-I-C-K.
Warwick, okay.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. Please begin when you are ready.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Just to give you a little bit of background, I used to work for Congressman John Conyers in Detroit and Washington, D.C. He was very concerned about voting rights. I was also in Washington, D.C. in 2000 for the Hanging Chads. Does everyone remember that? Well, back then, the Democrats were against electronic voting machines and widespread absentee balloting for some obvious reasons. Now, I have a lot more that I could say about the elections, about Janice Winfrey not hiring people, not giving people reasons for not hiring them, not wanting me to work the electronic poll book, even though I speak French, Spanish, and I joke sometimes English. But what I'm here to talk to you about today is that after Ramon showed me this evidence, I was devastated. At this year in my life, I realized I live in a banana republic. And so I said, well, hey, because I own another house in Detroit. I bought this other house after I kept getting broken into where I live. Anyway, there's a lot of stories. Anyway, I asked Ramon, I said, hey, check to see if there's anybody registered to vote at my house. And there were, what, 4?
Yep.
Now, one name I recognized. The other, I don't know. The one gentleman, if he were alive, he'd be about 110. And so Ramon kept saying to me, don't ignore the fake registrations, because that's the way they can inflate the number of potential voters so that they can say we had about a 50% turnout rate, et cetera.
Yes.
And Mr. Wooden, I work for Congressman John Conyers. I'm a triple barred attorney. I passed the California bar on the first try, unlike Kamala and Jerry Brown. But anyway, I'm real serious about this, sir. It is amazing how the residents go down repeatedly asking for things, and we just keep getting ignored. I have watched Mr. Jackson go down, Miss Love go down, some other people go down repeatedly and tell City Council, you are cheated in. So why is there no lawsuit for defamation? That tells me a lot. I'd also like to say in 2020 in Detroit, there was palpable voter apathy. Palpable voter apathy. One of my neighbors, now this is hearsay, told me that she was offered $200 to vote for Biden and then she'd never vote for a Democrat again. That is hearsay, but she never told me stuff that is not true. In 2022, the police, Gina Avery Walker, head of elections, accused me of falsely accused me of interfering with voters. They put their hands on me, threw me out of the election department. I could go on and on and on about why I do not trust that election department. I'd also like to say that Jocelyn Benson took Mike Brady as her chief counsel. He is formerly counsel to the Detroit Land Bank Authority, which has the largest land inventory of land banks in the country. I believe they have an app called Salesforce, and they can look up every house, because the more Ramon told me this, I said, somebody's populating houses with voters. Something's happening here. Something's going on. I don't know what it is, Mr. Wooden, but I would love it if you would all take a look at it. I'd also like to let you know, in 2020, Mike Duggan got the National Golden Padlock Award. Why? Because some of his staff were caught deleting emails after it was exposed he was having an affair. Now, not making a guilty by association, but one of the persons involved in the email deletion scandal was Ryan Friedrichs, Jocelyn Benson's husband. Last thing I want to say, when I learned that Jocelyn Benson hired Mike Brady as her chief counsel from the land bank, and I saw her at Wayne State University, and I know the walk and talk because she was on her way to another event, I said, Secretary Benson, I said, why did you hire Mike Brady as your chief counsel? Do you know what she did? She walked by me as if I wasn't even there.
Thank you, Joey.
So if you have any questions.
We do have a few questions. Representative Hoadley.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank everybody for your testimony today. It really means a lot for this committee to get these firsthand experiences. And first of all, I want to say, don't be offended. I'm going to use the word ignorance. And to answer your question, Pastor Sewell, you're being taken advantage of because of ignorance of the system. And you've been very patient here today. And I got to tell you, I'm a little bit appalled by hardworking people that made the trip here to Lansing to have their integrity insulted by coming here today. And I'll just end with one question. What do any of you have to gain personally to come here to be insulted just to tell your story? That is my question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Song. Representative Wooden.
Thank you, Chair. First, I want to note, I don't think I have impugned anyone's motives. I don't think I have outright called anyone a liar or in any way, shape, or form. I have asked follow-up questions, and they've provided some answers, and that is fine. But I want to make it very clear, I don't think it's unfair to ask reasonable follow-up questions when they are making claims, especially when it's about the integrity of our elections. Now, for instance, Ms. Warwick, thank you for coming in and giving your testimony. It says by your affidavit that you were shown these 4 individuals, Oscar Lee winner, Kareem Omar Francis, Robert Franklin Murray, and J. Thomas Clark, through the website voterecords.com. Is that correct? That's in what's in the affidavit?
What it was, yeah.
And you know that is a third-party vendor that compiles records for the QVF, similar to other voter file tools that are used. So just to verify, I did pull through a FOIA request the actual QVF records of these individuals. And just because I was curious, and all of their registration effective dates are prior to you taking ownership of this property. One was registered in 2002, one was registered in 2008, another in 2002. One was a dummy registration. Their date of birth was 1914. They're also likely deceased. But also, most notably, not one of these people have voted in any election. There's no record of any of them voting. And so if the idea is these registrations are being purposely harvested and held in mind to inflate vote numbers, wouldn't they have a vote record?
Not necessarily.
I want to answer that. The reason that if you get 50% voter turnout in Detroit, the 50% have to come from 100%. So if in the national election they want to give a presidential candidate 250,000 votes, in order for that not to go over 50% and cause an alarm, they have to keep 500,000 registered voters. So the inflation of the voter rolls with the fraudulent voters It's just as cheap. It's just as a process of cheating, just as using them in election. Use fraudulent voters to inflate the voter rolls, because you got to get a number from somewhere. If they say Detroit had a 70% voter turnout, guess what that happened? That would be unheard of. So you got to keep the voter rolls at a certain level in order to pull a certain percentage of voters. That's what the purpose is of putting those voters on the rolls.
I would also like to add, if it's 2002 and 2008 and they are not voting, why are they still on the voting rolls?
Good question.
Especially with our cancellation countdown method that we do have.
20 years.
Representative Pavlo has a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not a question, just a statement. I believe that there's only one reason why people don't want free and fair elections. Think about it.
Representative Wooden, if I may, thank you for looking up, getting the information directly from, was it the Secretary of State or Janice Winfrey's office? Okay. And I would like to look into that, and it would be nice if you would share information with us, because as I understand, like every time somebody went and allegedly became registered to vote, where's that transaction? And isn't there some notation in the file somewhere? I would also be happy to share with Chair Smith emails that I wrote repeatedly to the election department and why they would not hire me to work the elections. They didn't want me on the electronic poll book. Yet they said there were positions open. I asked to apply for it. They told me it wasn't true, or that they weren't full, even though I saw them advertising on social media and other things. For some reason, they do not want me next to an electronic poll book or working the elections at all. They lied about me. So there's plenty of reasons that I don't trust them. It would be nice if I asked them a question or wrote them an email and I got an answer, instead of the runaround or have people tell lies about me.
I want to say one thing. I checked the address that some of my some patriots sent me an address. It's 12041 Dexter. It's a coffee shop. I went there, had donuts yesterday. Know the owner. They have about 13 Jews that just showed up, registered to vote November 2024. Up there, they doing nothing but work up there. These black folks named James, Jared, Demine, and everything. 12041 Dexter Street. It's a black coffee shop with probably about 13 Jews just became registered there in November 2024. This is what's going on here. The elections is stolen. Facts is there. Just as you pulled her record, you could have pulled Kennedy's, could have pulled all of them. You could have did it.
So we have got one more question, Representative Fox, and then we will be closing.
Yeah, and I think that my question is probably mainly for Mr. Sewell. And I just wanted to say that in the culture I grew up in, to be treated as stupid was not a positive thing, and to be called a liar was not a positive thing. And I just would like to have you comment, Pastor Sewell, on John chapter 8 and the contrast that Jesus brought out. These are all the words of Jesus. He said, this was to the Pharisees, you belong to your father the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth. For there's no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he's a liar and the father of lies. And one more passage, John 8:32, Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So,
Representative Fox, thank you so much. We want everyone to know that this is not a partisan issue. It was Lieutenant Garland Gilchrist in 2017 that first alleged that there was cheating. It was Councilman Mary Waters in the last election that said she was cheated. It was Victoria Harris that said that there was cheating. So this is not a partisan issue. This is a patriotic issue. And if we know the truth, then we'll be free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we'll be free at last.
So I would just like to close by saying a couple of things. Ironically, today is special election day across the state of Michigan. There are over 70 counties that are conducting special elections today. So I believe that what we heard today, hopefully, we can take to heart. We can do our job as the committee to look into these irregularities, the fraud, the issues that we know are there. And I just want to thank you all for being brave and coming forward and giving your testimony, because as another representative had mentioned earlier on this committee, what do you gain by this? This has been nothing but a sacrifice, actually, to come here and to do this and to be vulnerable. So we are grateful for that, and I can commit as the chair of this committee that I will continue to work hard and to dig deep into finding out and just exposing the fraud that is there, and to continuing to clean up our voting rolls and to hold our Secretary of State and the Department of State accountable.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
There being no further business before the committee will stand adjourned.